Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about dealing with an extractor problem, but specifically due to a dirty chamber. Okay, so this is a gun that I've already got more than 10,000 rounds on. I know that the gun works. I know the barrel's good. I know extractor's good. But what I saw is I was starting to have some issues with extracting. And a lot of times people think that, hey, extractor is bad and they'll just change the extractor, but usually a lot of times it's a problem with the chamber. Now I've had barrels that were like just brand new, slightly out of spec, and I was having issues, but there's a barrel that I know is good. Okay, so let me open this up. So the issue I was having, on a barrel that I knew was good, I took out the cases that came out of this gun. You gotta make sure that they specifically came out of this barrel, because if it's a 9mm that came out of a different gun, it's gonna be slightly different, slightly different size. And when you push these in, they should come out pretty easy without much effort, right? So you push it in, should come out. This was not doing that earlier, okay? Was not doing this. So I would push these in, pull it out. I mean, there's a little effort involved. So, I've got like a test sample of 3 over here. Pull it out, okay? Pull it out. Okay, so now this is good, but earlier I was like, what I was actually having to do is, before I cleaned it, I would put these in, and I would have to use the rim of the a different case to kind of angle these out a little bit. So that's basically just a dirty chamber, and initially, like, you look at it and it's like, okay, it doesn't look that dirty. Hey, let me spray it, right? Initially I put a little bit of spray in there, run a chamber brush in there, right? That doesn't quite do it, okay? Because it's that dirt is really built in there. So you're gonna use a pick, take the pick and run it. You're gonna see the round rim where the chamber ends and the barrel begins, and just run the point of your pick around that circle. Just clean everything out of there, okay? Clean that out. You might see some stuff come off over here. So that's the first step, okay? Next step, what we're gonna do is you're gonna take a 9mm brush, right? And you're gonna put it in your drill. Tighten it up. Put this on the fast speed. Give it a spin. Put that in your barrel. I've already done this, but basically that's what you do. You can run it all the way through. And that's how you clean the chamber, right? And then after you shoot the gun, what you want to make sure is that these suckers, like right now, see how this is just falling right out, okay? This is actually cleaner than it even was a few minutes ago, because when I cleaned it earlier, I really didn't clean it as good. Now it's like, now they're coming right out. Okay, so that's how you clean that. So a lot of times people think that it's an extractor problem, but here's the thing: if you don't clean your chamber, it's gonna become an extractor problem, because what's gonna happen is the extractor is working a lot harder to pull them out, and it's not like it was jamming up every single time. It was only jamming up like once out of every 20 rounds, but it was taking a lot more work for that extractor to pull it out, which means that that's wearing out the extractor, okay? So if I kept doing this, that would have just kept eating away at the extractor, and then this dirty chamber would have ended up eating away at the claw of the extractor, and then eventually I would have had to change that extractor as well, okay? So keeping your barrel chamber clean will help preserve your extractor. And basically, once you start, if you got a gun that you know is working, and all of a sudden you start having jams, start having extractor problems, figure out why, okay? And it's most likely not the extractor. It's most likely a dirty chamber. And here's the thing: you might clean it, you might look at it and say, "Oh yeah, it looks clean," but you really gotta take the pick and get in there, right? Get in there, right, like that, and then get a 9mm brush or whatever caliber you've got. Get this in there, spin it. Basically, you're polishing that that chamber, right? And that's what's going to get it clean. And then the test is use the same cases that you've been shooting, put them in there, pull them out, make sure they don't get stuck in there. Okay, so I this is a lesson that I probably learned in the last couple of years. And the amount of shooting that these guns do has also increased. Now, interestingly enough, with the OEM Glocks, right? Sometimes I would go like 2,000 rounds, 3,000 rounds without cleaning, and the gun kept working. Usually by the time I got over 2,000 rounds, I would start to see some type of a problem, particularly when it rained, because when it would rain, the gun would get wet, and all that residue would turn into mud, and all of a sudden I would start having problems, and I say, okay, I gotta clean the gun. Whereas with these other guns over here, right, these guns that I build, it seems to come up more like sooner, right? If I don't clean these, it becomes an issue sooner rather than later. And now, to tell you the truth, I don't think I've done this type of a cleaning in a very long time. So I probably have gotten something like 5,000 rounds on this barrel, right? I've cleaned it in between, but I've never really took the pick and got in there. But from what I hear, the chambers of Glock OEMs are a tad bit bigger, and that's why people say if you basically you cannot reload, or you should not reload the brass that comes out of a Glock OEM barrel, because the chambers are a bit oversized. They oversize them on purpose so that they'll feed easier, so that they won't have jamming problems. So even when the guns get dirty, you won't have those extraction problems, right? So the way they accomplish that is by oversizing the chambers a little bit. So I suspect, I don't know for sure, I suspect that these aftermarket ones may not be oversized the way the Glock OEM ones are. I don't know for sure, but just something to just keep in mind. That could be an issue. I mean, I like I said, I know with the Glock OEM ones, you're not supposed to reload the cases that get shot out of those, because the chamber's a little bit bigger. I guess they get stretched out a little bit more. One of the things I guess you would have to find out if you buy an aftermarket barrel like I have here, do they follow that same pattern, like Glock OEM pattern, same dimensions, or is this more of a standard or more to spec 9mm chamber? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just kind of putting it out there for you guys to consider. I mean, I don't reload a 9mm. I mean, I just do so much shooting that I would spend more time reloading than actually shooting. So it's just a lot better for me to just, buy 4,000 rounds at a time. My time is valuable. The stuff that I reload is like 44 Magnum, 357, 454 Casull, 500 Smith & Wesson. So I reload only like the expensive stuff that I don't shoot in large volume. 9mm, it's just cheaper to buy it in bulk. So hope this video was useful to you guys. So again, if you're having extractor problems, it may not be your extractor. It might be a really dirty chamber. If you have a relatively new barrel and you're having extractor problems, you might just have a chamber that's out of spec. And I did cover that in the prior video. I've actually, over the last 2 years that I've been building these Glocks, I've bought 2 barrels where the chamber was slightly out of spec, and I just kept having extractor problems that got fixed when I just put it through in a different barrel. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're not a member, subscribe on YouTube. I got Pocono Shooting, Absolute Guns, and the original Safa channel. On Odyssey, I'm Pocono Tactical. On Rumble, I'm Pocono Guns. Talk to you soon.